Hey Aquarius, I need to sit down with you right now because something really important is coming through in your reading and I want to make sure you understand what the cards are showing us. This is about karma, and I mean the real kind of karma, not just some abstract concept. We're talking about how certain patterns and certain people are about to face the consequences of their actions, and you're right in the middle of this energy shift. So I've been sitting with your cards for a while now, and the message is crystal clear. There are people around you, and I'm talking about specific individuals in your life, who have been playing the victim while actually being the most selfish ones in the room. You know exactly who I'm talking about. These are the people who always have a sob story, who always need something, who always make everything about their pain and their struggles, but the moment you need them or the moment they don't get what they want, they turn violent. And I don't just mean physically violent, I mean energetically violent, emotionally violent, verbally violent. They attack. The universe is basically saying to you, watch out, because these people are entering a phase where their true colors are really going to show. They're going into what I call violent mode, where their masks are going to slip completely. And here's the thing about karma that a lot of people don't understand. Karma doesn't always look like some big dramatic lightning bolt from the sky. Sometimes karma looks like people revealing themselves so clearly that everyone can finally see what you've been dealing with all along. I pulled 5 cards for you, and each one of these cards is showing me a different layer of this karmic situation you're navigating. Before we dive in, I just want you to take a breath and really open yourself up to what's coming through, because this reading is about protecting yourself, understanding the bigger picture, and knowing that you're not crazy for seeing what you've been seeing. Let me start with the first card I pulled for you, and this one actually made me pause for a second because it's so direct about what you're dealing with. I pulled the Knight of Swords, and this card is coming in hot with a warning about someone in your orbit. The Knight of Swords represents swift, aggressive, cutting energy. This is someone who moves fast, talks fast, and doesn't think about the damage they leave in their wake. When this card shows up in a reading about karma and people in violent mode, it's telling me that there's someone near you who is about to come at you with words like weapons. This person has probably already shown you glimpses of this behavior, but what's coming is going to be more intense than what you've experienced before. Here's what I'm seeing with this Knight of Swords energy. This is someone who positions themselves as brutally honest, as just telling it like it is, as being the voice of reason or the one who isn't afraid to say what everyone else is thinking. But the truth is, this person uses honesty as a cover for cruelty. They use directness as an excuse to be harsh. They claim they're just being real when actually they're being deliberately hurtful. And the victim mentality piece comes in because this person, whenever they're called out for their behavior, immediately flips the script. Suddenly they're the one being attacked. Suddenly everyone is too sensitive. Suddenly they're the victim of people who can't handle the truth. Do you see how that works? They get to be as cutting and as aggressive as they want, but the moment there are any consequences, they're the wounded party. The karma that's coming for this Knight of Swords energy is that their strategy is going to stop working. People are going to start seeing through it. The universe is setting up situations where this person's pattern is going to become so obvious that they can't hide behind their excuses anymore. And when that happens, they're going to go into an even more aggressive mode because they're losing control of the narrative. That's what I mean by violent mode. They're going to escalate because their usual tactics aren't working anymore. For you, Aquarius, the message here is about protecting your peace and not engaging with this energy. You're an air sign, you value communication and intellectual exchange, so it's tempting to try to reason with someone like this. But the cards are saying don't do it. When someone is in Knight of Swords violent mode, there's no reasoning with them. They're not interested in understanding or resolution. They're interested in winning, in being right, in cutting you down. Your job is to step back and let karma do its work. You don't need to defend yourself to someone who has already decided you're the enemy. You don't need to explain yourself to someone who twists everything you say. Just step back. The second card I pulled is Strength, and this is such a powerful card to come through in this reading because it's telling me how you need to navigate everything that's unfolding. Strength is not about aggression or force. It's about quiet power, inner resilience, and the ability to face challenges without losing yourself in the process. This card shows a figure gently closing the mouth of a lion, and that imagery is so important for what you're going through right now. You're dealing with people who are roaring, who are trying to intimidate you, who are showing their teeth. And the Strength card is saying you don't need to roar back. You don't need to fight fire with fire. You need to stay centered in your own power and handle this situation with a combination of courage and compassion. Now, I want to be really clear about what compassion means in this context because I think a lot of spiritual people get confused about this. Compassion doesn't mean letting people walk all over you. Compassion doesn't mean accepting bad behavior because someone had a hard childhood or because they're going through something difficult. Compassion means you can understand that hurt people, while still maintaining firm boundaries about what you will and will not tolerate in your life. The Strength card is telling me that you already know you're strong enough to handle this. You've been through storms before. You've dealt with difficult people before. You've survived situations that would have broken other people. But what's different about this time is that you're being called to a higher level of mastery. You're being called to stay in your power without getting reactive. You're being called to see clearly what's happening without getting emotionally pulled into the drama. Here's what I'm really sensing with this strength energy in relation to the karma theme of your reading. The people who are in victim mentality, the ones who are going into violent mode, they want you to react. They want you to get angry, to defend yourself, to engage with their chaos. Because as long as you're engaged, as long as you're reacting, they can keep playing their game. They can keep saying you're the problem. They can keep painting themselves as the victim of your reactions. But when you embody true strength, when you refuse to be pulled into their drama, something shifts. They lose their power over you. And more than that, their own behavior becomes really obvious to everyone watching. When you're calm and they're raging, when you're measured and they're all over the place, when you're consistent and they're constantly contradicting themselves, people start to notice. The karma accelerates because their patterns can't hide anymore. I'm also getting that this strength card is telling you to be gentle with yourself through this process. You might be tempted to be hard on yourself, to wonder if you could have done something differently, to question whether you're seeing things clearly. But the Strength card is confirmation that you are seeing clearly, that your perceptions are accurate, and that you're handling this situation with more grace than you probably give yourself credit for. Trust your inner knowing. Trust that quiet voice inside you that sees the truth even when other people are trying to gaslight you into doubting it. The third card that came through is the Knight of Pentacles, and this is interesting because it's such a different energy from the Knight of Swords we talked about earlier. This is showing me another layer of the karmic situation you're navigating. The Knight of Pentacles is steady, reliable, methodical. This knight doesn't rush anywhere. This knight takes their time, does things properly, and focuses on tangible results. In the context of your reading about karma and people showing their true colors, I'm seeing this card as both a message about someone in your life and also as guidance for how you need to approach the situation. Let me start with the someone in your life piece. There's a person around you, and this might be someone you've known for a while or someone who's been in the background, who operates with this Knight of Pentacles energy. This is someone who appears stable, who appears dependable, who appears to have it all together. They might be someone who handles practical matters well, who seems grounded and secure. But here's what the cards are showing me. This person's selfishness is more subtle than the Knight of Swords person we talked about earlier. The Knight of Pentacles selfish person is someone who helps you, but always with strings attached. They do things for you, but they keep a mental tally. They're there for you, but they make sure you know it cost them something. They present themselves as stable and reliable, but their stability is actually a form of control. They use their dependability as leverage. Do you know someone like this? Someone who never lets you forget what they've done for you. Someone whose generosity always comes with an unspoken debt. The victim mentality shows up with this Knight of Pentacles energy when they don't get the recognition or the payback they think they deserve. Suddenly all the things they did for you, all the ways they helped you, all the times they were there, those become weapons. They'll list everything they've ever done, not because they genuinely cared about helping you, but because they were building a case for why you owe them. And the violent mode for this energy type is different from the Knight of Swords. It's not loud or aggressive in an obvious way. It's cold. It's calculated. It's withdrawing support at the moment you need it most. It's suddenly becoming unavailable after they've positioned themselves as your rock. It's making you feel the absence of their presence in a way that's designed to hurt. The karma here is that this person's transactional approach to relationships is going to backfire on them. The universe is going to show them that you can't buy loyalty, you can't purchase genuine connection, and you can't control people through strategic acts of service. They're going to find themselves in a situation where they need support and the people they thought they had locked down through obligation are nowhere to be found. But here's the guidance piece of the Knight of Pentacles for you, Aquarius. This card is also telling you to stay grounded and practical as you navigate this karmic storm. Don't get swept up in emotional reactions. Don't make any big, impulsive moves. Handle things methodically. Document things if you need to. Keep records of conversations if there's potential for gaslighting. Protect your resources, whether that's your time, your energy, your money, or your emotional bandwidth. The Knight of Pentacles energy is also about building something solid for yourself that doesn't depend on these people who are revealing themselves. This is a time to focus on your own stability, your own security, your own foundation. Let the karma unfold for them while you're busy creating something real and lasting for yourself. That's the ultimate power move. The fourth card is the Three of Wands, and this is where the reading really opens up into the bigger picture of what's possible for you on the other side of this karmic storm. The Three of Wands is a card about expansion, about looking toward the horizon, about seeing possibilities that weren't visible before. This card usually shows a figure standing on a cliff or a high point, looking out over water, watching ships come in. It's about waiting for your investments to pay off, about having planted seeds and now watching for the harvest. In the context of everything we've been talking about, the Three of Wands is telling me that while all this karmic stuff is playing out with these selfish people in victim mode, you're simultaneously being positioned for something really good. And I need you to understand this, Aquarius, because it's so important. The fact that these people are revealing themselves, the fact that karma is accelerating around you, the fact that you're seeing clearly who people really are, all of this is actually preparing you for what's coming next. You're being cleared out. Energetically, spiritually, practically, you're being cleared out of relationships and situations that were holding you back. And I know it doesn't feel good right now. I know it's painful to see people you cared about or trusted showing up in these disappointing ways. But the Three of Wands is saying there's a reason this is happening now. There's something coming into your life that requires you to have this cleared space. I'm seeing opportunities on your horizon. Real ones, not just vague possibilities. These could be opportunities in your career, in your creative life, in your personal relationships, or in your sense of purpose. But here's the thing about these opportunities. You couldn't fully receive them or participate in them if you were still tangled up with these people who are currently showing their true colors. You couldn't step into what's next if you were still giving your energy to people who drain you, manipulate you, or use you. The Three of Wands is also about collaboration and partnership, but healthy collaboration and partnership. The kind where everyone brings something to the table. The kind where there's mutual respect and genuine support. The kind where you don't have to keep score because everyone is operating from a place of authentic generosity rather than transaction. So while you're watching these karmic situations unfold, while you're seeing people go into violent mode and reveal their selfishness, I want you to also be watching your horizon. I want you to be paying attention to the new people, the new opportunities, the new possibilities that are starting to show up. Because they are showing up. The universe doesn't just clear things away without bringing something better. You're making space for something that's actually aligned with who you are and where you're headed. And here's another piece of the Three of Wands message. This card is telling me that you're not meant to go through what's coming next alone. But the people who are supposed to be part of your journey forward are not the ones who are currently showing you their violence and their selfishness. Those are the people from your past, from a version of your life that you've outgrown. The people for your future are different. They're out there. Some of them you might already know but haven't connected with deeply yet. Some of them you haven't met. But they're coming. Your job right now is to stay open to what's coming while you're releasing what's going. Don't let the pain of these revelations close your heart completely. Don't let the disappointment of seeing people's true colors make you cynical about connection in general. The Three of Wands is saying there are good people out there. There are healthy relationships possible. There are partnerships that will actually support your growth rather than drain your energy. You just have to be willing to let go of what's not working so you have room for what will. The fifth and final card I pulled for you is the High Priestess, and honestly, Aquarius, when this card came out, I felt like everything just clicked into place. This is the card that ties everything together and shows you exactly what you need to understand about this entire karmic situation. The High Priestess is the keeper of hidden knowledge, the one who sees beyond the surface, the one who trusts her intuition above all else. She sits between the pillars of dark and light, between the known and the unknown, and she's completely at peace there. She doesn't need external validation. She doesn't need anyone to confirm what she knows. She trusts her inner knowing completely. This card is coming through to tell you that you already know everything you need to know about the people and situations in your life. You already know who the selfish ones are. You already know who's playing victim while actually being the aggressor. You already know who you can trust and who you can't. You already know what's true and what's manipulation. You know all of this. The High Priestess is saying your intuition has been showing you the truth all along. But here's where a lot of people get stuck, and this might be where you've been stuck too. Even when we know something intuitively, we often talk ourselves out of it. We second-guess ourselves. We give people the benefit of the doubt over and over again, even when they keep showing us exactly who they are. We let other people convince us that we're being too sensitive, too paranoid, too judgmental. We ignore our inner knowing because acting on it would be uncomfortable or would force us to make changes we're not sure we're ready for. The High Priestess is telling you that this pattern needs to end now. You need to start honoring what you know. When your intuition tells you someone is being manipulative, trust that. When your gut tells you someone's victim story doesn't add up, trust that. When you feel that subtle sense of unease around someone who seems perfectly nice on the surface, trust that. Your intuition is not wrong. Your ability to sense energy and read between the lines is not faulty. You're seeing clearly. In terms of the karma theme and these people going into violent mode, the High Priestess is giving you a really important piece of information. These people are escalating and revealing themselves because on some level, they know that you're seeing through them. They can sense that you're pulling back, that you're not buying their stories anymore, that you're protecting yourself. And that's threatening to them because their whole strategy depends on you not seeing clearly. So they're going into violent mode partly as a last-ditch effort to regain control, to make you doubt yourself, to confuse you enough that you'll fall back into the old patterns. They're trying to be so overwhelming, so aggressive, so convincing in their victimhood that you'll forget what you know and go back to playing your old role in their drama. But the High Priestess is saying don't do it. Stay connected to your inner knowing. When someone is trying to make you feel crazy for seeing what you're seeing, that's actually confirmation that you're seeing correctly. When someone gets really defensive and aggressive in response to you setting a boundary, that's confirmation that the boundary was necessary. When someone's story keeps changing or doesn't quite add up, that's confirmation that they're not being honest. The High Priestess is also about the power of silence and discretion. Not everything needs to be discussed or explained or defended. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply know what you know and move accordingly without announcing it, without arguing about it, without trying to convince anyone else. You don't need to prove to these people that you see them clearly. You don't need their acknowledgement or admission. You just need to trust yourself and act in alignment with that trust. I'm also getting with the High Priestess that there's a deeper spiritual lesson in all of this for you. You're learning to trust yourself at a level you haven't before. You're learning that your inner knowing is valid and valuable even when it contradicts what other people are saying. You're learning that you don't need consensus to know what's true. This is such an important lesson for an Aquarius because your sign is so oriented toward the collective, toward community, toward what makes sense from a logical perspective. But the High Priestess is teaching you that sometimes your individual intuition needs to take precedence over what the group thinks or what seems logical on paper. And in terms of the karma piece, here's what the High Priestess wants you to understand. You don't need to do anything to make karma happen. You don't need to expose these people or call them out or make sure everyone knows what they've done. Karma is a universal law, not something you have to enforce. Your job is to trust what you know, protect yourself accordingly, and let the universe handle the rest. And it will handle it. These people's patterns will catch up with them not because you made it happen, but because that's how energy works. What you put out comes back. The High Priestess is also telling me that as you move through this situation, you're going to develop your intuitive abilities even more. You're going to get really good at sensing people's true intentions. You're going to be able to spot red flags earlier. You're going to trust yourself faster instead of giving people chance after chance to prove your intuition wrong. This is all part of your spiritual development, and while it's uncomfortable right now, it's making you wiser and more discerning in ways that will serve you for the rest of your life. So Aquarius, here's what I want you to take away from this reading. You're in the middle of a significant karmic period where people's true natures are being revealed. The ones with victim mentality who are actually selfish, the ones who go into violent mode when they don't get their way, they're all showing themselves clearly right now. This is not happening to you, it's happening for you. You're being freed from relationships and dynamics that were never truly serving you. Your job through all of this is to stay in your strength, to trust your intuition, to protect your energy, to stay grounded in practical action, and to keep your eyes on the horizon because something better is coming. You already know what you need to know. You're stronger than you think you are. And the karma that's unfolding is not something you need to manage or control. Just step back and let it happen while you focus on building the life you actually want. I hope this reading resonated with you and gave you some clarity about what you're moving through. Trust yourself, Aquarius. You've got this.